I'd like to welcome everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you may be. Welcome you to the Making the Most of Your IMRP webinar. We're going to cover a series of different topics today. As soon as I get the button pushed, we're going to talk a little bit about the organization here, location in the venue, the program structure, as well as the call for abstracts. This is being brought up to you both by the organizing committee, chaired by Arthur Dumba, as well as myself as deputy chair, and Paul Wynn, who based in the UK, and also will be working with the presentation committee. In terms of regional sponsors, I'd like to thank Sterigenics and Nordion for their sponsorship of this event, as well as IBA and Steris as diamond presenters, and Ariel as a ruby presenter. In terms of the sponsorship, if you would like to become a sponsor, there's still availability to do so. Please contact Isabel Stengler. The email address you won't be able to click to here in the webinar or the recording, but you can go to the IMRP website and look under sponsorship and exhibitioners to find the contact information for Isabel. So please do so if you're interested in becoming a sponsor. In terms of the visit, you can visit at imrp-iia.com. In terms of this particular webinar, we're going to be recording this webinar. In fact, the recording is already started and it will be posted on the website if you'd like to re-review something from this webinar. If you have any Q&A during the webinar, please use the Q&A function in this webinar. It should be across the top bar of your screen, and we'll answer all the questions we're able to get to. If we cannot get to a question, we'll come back to you after the webinar, so don't worry, we'll definitely address any questions you may have. In terms of your microphone, please keep your microphones muted during the webinar presentation. And then finally, you can find the IIA on LinkedIn and just search for International Radiation Association. With that, I'd like to kick this over to Brian McAvoy, who's the Senior Director of Global Technology at Steris and the Program Chair this year for IMRP. He's been attending the IMRPs since London in 2008. He's a former Poster Award winner and served on 3 of the program committees. For the remaining part of this webinar, Brian will provide some insights on the venue, the theme of the IMRP program this year, the program and intent, as well as the call for abstracts. Again, at the end of the webinar, we'll take questions as able and use the Q&A function. Brian, I'd like to kick it over to you.
Thank you, Aaron. Let me just check, can you hear me okay and see my screen?
You're good from my end, Brian. Perfect.
So good morning, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. As Aaron said, the purpose of today's call is really to share with you some of the insights into the program that we envisage for IMRP. As many of you know, IMRP is our international meeting on radiation processing, and we're very excited that this year we're going to be visiting Costa Rica. The first IMRP, 1976 in Puerto Rico, and this one upcoming being the 21st. It's a significant conference with typically over 350 attendees, and quite a lot of content that we receive from yourselves as our industry stakeholders, and typically over 120 abstracts for each IMRP that helps really shape the conference and shape the content that you want to hear about. I'm here today, as Aaron mentioned, as the program chair, and I was delighted and privileged to be asked by IAA to take on that role. But I feel my role is just helping coordinate a bigger group of people that I am sharing some pictures, names, and locations on the screen. And I'm delighted with the program committee that have volunteered to come and help us put together the program for IMRP. We've an industry diverse group with great diversity and expertise in areas of experience, and a great diversity in location. Again, a key element of IMRP is it's an international conference. It's a conference that covers radiation processing, but from many aspects, whether it be from a healthcare, a phytosanitary, a food, but also levels of expertise, whether it's directly involved in radiation or whether it's regulatory or otherwise. So again, I'm delighted that the program committee will bring all of those elements together as we shape the program. Where we're going, Costa Rica. For anybody that has been there, I'm sure you've experienced a very beautiful country. And for anybody that hasn't, sharing a few pictures, of what to expect. A beautiful location, but also a location of great interest for our industry, and quite a lot of processing, quite a lot of use of our technologies in this region. And again, it's very much a location of choice for IMRP to really reach out to our industry stakeholders and get that connection, in a location that actually makes very good sense for the IMRP 2024. Costa Rica also brings a great opportunity for us to avail of a very new and very state-of-the-art convention center. As you will see in the presentation today, the necessity for a convention center to host the event that we have envisaged is quite important. We want to have some very important spaces, particularly in the exhibition. Again, I'm going to be showing you in some slides. There's going to be quite a lot going on in the exhibition space. So again, we believe this is the right venue. And again, I think the participants are going to avail of great surroundings and a great location. There is a link, quite interestingly, if you go into the website for the Costa Rica Convention Center, you can actually avail of some 360 virtual tours to showcase the venue and see the location that we're going to be attending. With the use of a convention center, we also have identified, if you like, the official headquarter hotel, which is the Marriott Hacienda Balin. And actually, some of the details, all of the slides I'm showing you at the moment are actually on the IMRP website. So please consult for further information around, the location and the hotel. This hotel will also host a gala dinner at IMRP 2024. In terms of the theme for the conference, radiation technologies available, sustainable, and growing. And again, we feel that really is befitting to the location of Costa Rica, where we're going. And it aligns with some very current topics. If one reads the UN goals for sustainable development, you can see how our industry plays a very pivotal role, whether it's in the provision, of healthcare products or the provision of food or phytosanitary. Again, we play a very vital role, and we believe this is a topic to very much connect into for IMRP 2024. IMRP, is a combination of connecting the business and the science, but it's connecting it across, multiple applications, many technologies, many stakeholders. Never a simple task for any conference, to make sure we actually cover all the agenda and the topics that people want to hear about. But I'm excited to say one of the things we're going to be making very good use of is the exhibition space. And that offers us the opportunity for different types and different locations of presentations. We're basically going to have presentations as we would do traditionally in the plenary session. But we expect the plenary to be very much about the business of radiation processing. At previous IMRAPs, I recall, for instance, at Strasbourg, the first day we had at the plenary in Strasbourg was very much what's happening in our industry around the world, insights, what's the developments in terms of applications, in terms of equipment, in terms of technology. The new addition to this IMRAP is the technical theatres. Again, I'll be showing some additional slides on these, but the technical theatres will actually be housed in the exhibition space. And we believe this creates a great opportunity for a combination of networking and visiting suppliers, but also seeing short exhibitions on 3 dedicated stages that will actually describe the how and what of our industry. What are the developments in our industry? What are the new innovations? What are our key suppliers? Hopefully there are exhibitors in the room wanting to showcase to us as an audience. And finally, as always, we'll have our poster presentations, which again will have the emphasis on the science of radiation processing. I've talked about the plenary sessions. I've talked about our vision. And again, what you're seeing today is a vision for the program. And I'm going to be talking later about the call for abstracts. The call for abstracts will help us define the program. But at this point, the program committee do have a vision for the program we'd like to put together. And these slides will hopefully share some of those insights into our thinking. I mentioned already day one of a plenary, very much looking at the global overviews, what's happening in our industry. Day two, we envisage having 2 strands. For anybody, previous participant at IMRAP, sometimes we've had on many occasions 3 strands, and sometimes they can overlap. We feel on this IMRAP we're going to have 2 dedicated strands, one in sterilization and one in phytosanitary. The reason we can do that is because, again, if we've got some specific presentations that may also be hosted in our technical theatres, so it gives us that level of flexibility. Day 3, our consideration is for regulatory updates and what's happening at the regulatory front. How is it impacting on our business of radiation processing? And again, connected to the team, we envisage having a keynote speaker on the topic of sustainability. When I say keynote, hopefully we'll hear from somebody that will share something new for us as an industry. That's something we can take home and perhaps bring back into our own businesses and our own locations. Day 4, we'll hit topics like education, leadership development, and also connected with the poster presentations. And finally, as always, we'll have our IAA General Assembly. Again, back to the topic of the technical theatres. I already mentioned that we'll have 3 technical theatres. And we've named them Radiation Field, Dosimetry Square, and Conveyor Alley. And the radiation field is going to be very much a general stage to hear updates on innovation and developments. Dosimetry Square is somewhat self-explanatory, is to hear what's happening in the space of dosimetry, innovation, equipment, regulatory developments. And Conveyor Alley is really to hear about equipment and manufacturing supports, be it the radiation equipment itself, or it could be along topics like product conveyance, automation and robotics, or control systems. We feel the Tech Theatres gives a great opportunity for exhibitors to showcase their innovations and product offerings, creates a very dynamic, interactive space. And again, these stages will be established in a means whereby people can, network, visit the exhibition, or listen into a topic of interest at a Tech Theatre. Also, we plan from days 2 to 4 to actually start our mornings each day with that visit to the Tech Theatres in the exhibition space. It'll be a nice opportunity for us to use this dynamic exhibition hall to actually assemble as a group before proceeding to plenary presentations. Again, this picture is actually showing, again, our event organizers have been working with the venue to identify the layouts that we think will actually work. And what we're showing here is you can see actually some of the exhibition space and also the 3 tech theaters. The main one being the radiation field at the bottom of the screen, and then 2 slightly smaller ones on the right-hand side. And as you can see, there'll be coffee stations distributed. So again, it's to encourage this interactive space, that it can be exhibition, tech theater, or just having a coffee and networking with friends and colleagues from the industry. Poster session, we very proudly always have a great cohort of posters that come to IMRP. And it's great to see the science, the early developmental work that goes on in our industry that helps underpin things like our standards and our best practices that are applicable to our industry. We envisage having a poster session on day 3, within the exhibition space. We may also utilize the tech theaters to offer people short time presentations. And we'll also have a judging committee. And again, part of our thinking is to perhaps have some of the best posters be showcased during the plenary sessions on the final day. And again, that's just something for us as a program committee to develop, with the successful applicants in the call for abstract process. Often in the IMRP website, we will showcase, if you like, the grid for the program. This time around, we've been a little bit slow to do so, simply because we don't want to be overly prescriptive to what should come through in the call for abstracts process. So today is the first time we're actually sharing, if you like, that early view of how we see the day's structuring. And I've really, verbalized most of this, but as you can see, Monday is very much around that global perspective. And at the end of the Monday, we would have the welcome reception and the exhibition opening. And then each day thereafter, you'll have the tech theaters and the exhibition opening each day of IMRP. Day 2 has the 2 forums that I mentioned earlier. And at the end of that day, we'll also finish with some tech theater and exhibition space. Day 3 has more of our plenary topics, and the afternoon will be our poster presentation. Day 4, we have our topics of education leadership, and we have potentially these poster winners. And as I mentioned already, we have the IA General Assembly. And delighted again to see we will be having a gala dinner at the Marriott Hotel, where again we can all socialize the experience from the whole week. And finally, as always, we'll have some activities on the last day, on the Friday, often technical visits that people can avail of. Call for abstracts. This is probably one of the main motivations for actually hosting this webinar today. Because historically, calls for abstracts have been sometimes viewed as sort of a call for very much on the scientific material perspective. This IMRAP, really the call for abstracts process, is more about call for presentations. We're looking for you as our industry stakeholders to use the call for abstracts process as, if you like, a voice of the customer. We want you to influence what you would like to see on the agenda for the program committee as we construct the program for IMRP 2024. Again, the screen I'm sharing here is actually in our website. It talks about the typical areas, whether it be, industry development, scientific, regulatory, education, sustainability. Our goal as a program committee is to use this call for abstract process to look at the content and help shape it into thematic areas, shape it into what we believe would be the program of interest for yourselves as attendees. We do recognize this call for abstracts is actually quite early, with the conference being in November of this year. So with that in mind, my advice is the abstracts don't need to be perfect. I think they can even be simply a paragraph to summarize, the thought process, the idea, the concept that you may have, so that the program committee can actually get an understanding of the topic and see how it might fit into the program. If you submitted an abstract and it is selected, program committee will work and support those successful applicants as you move towards building a presentation for IMRP or a poster. However, it's imperative that if you are selected, that you're present and able to present on the topic at IMRP 2024. In the call for abstracts process, I mentioned it's very typically and historically of scientific content, but we're looking for abstracts around the business, around the technical, around the equipment. Again, we've all these opportunities for presentation, whether it be plenary or tech theatre or poster. We'd like to call for abstracts to drive the content for all those areas. As I said, if it is on the scientific aspect, it may not need to be final results. The poster at IMRP might be an interim update, keeping your industry stakeholders aware of the progress of your work that eventually might benefit the industry. Share what you think will be of interest to the program, what would be interest to IMRP and interest to the wider stakeholder group that attends IMRP. Again, as I said, the purpose of this call for abstracts is to drive the content that we all want to hear about at IMRP 2024. Publication, we're looking at numerous publication opportunities. The last number of IMRAPs, we've had a written publication. Again, we would look to do something similar regarding the plenary presentations. However, something new with the technical theatres, we are expecting to record the presentations and use them as electronic proceedings that may be available, whether it be on the IMRP or IAA website in the future. Poster presentations, and aligned to that, we're also investigating the opportunity of scientific peer review publications. So taking that cohort of scientific posters and seeing actually can we do a special proceedings of the event. The benefits of submitting an abstract is you're supporting the program, you're sharing your expertise, you're availing of an opportunity to potentially publish, expanding your industry profile and expanding your network and connections. And most importantly, you're leaving a permanent legacy as an esteemed presenter at IMRAP. So many benefits to making that contribution. And how the program committee will operate over the coming months. We're currently in this phase of promoting the call for abstracts. When we get into the springtime, it's going to be very much around the review of the abstracts, seeing how it shapes the program, and then filtering to how we fit into the various presentation arenas, whether that's plenary, tech theatre, or poster, and refining the program. Phase 3 is for the successful abstracts program committee to go back and actually support those applicants as they develop the content and actually refine it for presentation in Costa Rica. And finally, that finesse the perfect. The quality of the abstracts will help us define, and shape the program and make it as good as we can make it. And my last slide, just again, a lot of what you're hearing today is available on our website. Catherine looks after all of our marketing, and there's been newsletters. Again, this is part of the marketing and promotion of the event. So please avail of those sources of information. And finally, just to say, I look forward to seeing everybody in Costa Rica. I think it's going to be a very exciting program for IMRP 2024. And I think we're all going to enjoy it and enjoy the location. That's my last slide. I think we have now an opportunity for any Q&A that may have been posted.
There's no questions so far, Brian. You've been much too clear.
Okay, that's
But I would
great
encourage
news.
people to submit any questions if you've got them. It's all very clear, Brian.
Great. Well, again, I've at the very early slides, I've shared the program committee. Please use the program committee as contacts, whether it be myself or, any of the program committee. If you have any questions, any areas that you need clarification on, or any support you need in terms of putting together an abstract, please let us know. We're here to help, and we're here to help make this program as best we can.
Okay. Arnie Miller says, is it likely the deadline is going to be extended? Deadline for abstract.
So I think the answer on that is, again, we have a deadline. I think we'll use that to see what content comes in this first phase. There's always, with any conference, there's always a possibility of extending the deadline, and we have time to do so. But I would encourage, even if it's very draft, the earlier to get in an abstract. It can always be refined over the coming months. There is time for that. So again, if you have an idea for an abstract, my advice is get it in early, get it on the agenda for the program committee. There's always time to refine it and finesse it over the coming months before final decision on the actual program structure.
I've been asked to remind everybody that the deadline is the 31st of January.
Yep.
Florian Kuntz says, is the venue exhibition centre in walking distance to the hotel?
So it is not. I think there's going to be a transportation requirement. I would nearly leave that to somebody from the organising committee can answer on that. But there is going to be a transportation option, I believe, to and from the hotel.
Yeah, Isabel says we are providing a shuttle.
Yep.
We've also been asked to share the link for the website in the chat.
Yep.
Maybe Isabel can do that, or Catherine.
Yeah, if anybody, for ease of access, if you just type in IMRP-IIA.com, it'll bring you straight into the website.
I think that's all the questions we have for now.
There is a hand up, actually. Jayakar? Did you want to ask a question? Okay, perhaps not.
Okay.
If not, just contact us offline and we can assist.
Okay, so Catherine has shared the link to the website. Alan Stresser asked what type of abstracts are expected in tech theatres. Can they also be commercial presentations for products, equipment, etc.?
Yeah, again, I think if you like the exhibition space, the exhibitors will have the opportunity to really showcase their commercial offerings. I think for the tech theatres, our wish is that we get presentations on innovations. The tech theatre is not really designed as sort of a commercial exhibition space, if you like. It's certainly if somebody has an innovation that they've done in development of equipment or services or a new dosimetry system that they want to share, the development, the science, the background, tech theatres will be an opportunity for that, but not necessarily for product promotion. I think that can be done at the exhibition booth itself.
Okay, there's no more questions now, and we're over time, I think. So I guess we should wrap up.
Yep. Thank you, everybody, for joining today.